Hello, and welcome to another episode of Starting Strong with Dr. Carolyn Strong. By now, you guys know that my goal is to just start some conversations, keep the conversation 5 minutes or less so you can take it and do with it what you will. But again, as always, I am very happy to have a guest with me today. So, hi, thank you for coming. Who are you?
Hi, my name is Dr. Tiffany Momford-Dent. I am a licensed psychologist. I specialize in working with children, adolescents, and women.
So, you specialize in the mental mind. That's going to be fun. Okay. Today I want to talk about anxiety in children during I know we always want to say during COVID, but I have to kind of say, during COVID slash world burning because both are happening right now. Given all of those changes to our normal,
Mhm.
the normal things that would present for children with anxiety, are they the same or could they possibly be different?
I think the thing is that first we look at the idea of general anxiety. In that term, everybody experiences some level of anxiety because it's some type of worry, the idea of fear, being scared because not knowing what's going to happen usually or expecting the worst. When we talk about clinical anxiety, we're talking about an anxiety that rises to the next level of it's causing difficulty in your functioning. It's keeping you from doing some things. For example, sleeping, eating, it's making you avoid things that you need to do. So I think in this moment, one of the things we have to identify is there's a normal level of anxiety that children are likely feeling. Um, and that level of anxiety is just some confusion about what's happening. And also, kids do very well in stability. They may say they don't like stability, whether it's bedtime, time for meals, when someone's picking them up, and they may say they hate it. But kids actually look for stability from the moment that they're even born. They're looking to kind of see, to be able to navigate the world and make it safe. And this point in time, when we're dealing with the world burning, COVID, the rules change daily. And I think that's why we're seeing more anxiety in children, because in one moment you may be going back to school, you're prepared, that's what happens. You then get to school, a COVID case happens, your school goes back to virtual. So there's these constant changes day to day, and that causes a level of heightened anxiety in our children because nothing's stable. One day they can go to the store, and then the next day they're saying that those places are closed. So there's this constant struggle to be able to get their balance and to know what to expect. So if you're seeing your child more stressed, it makes sense. On top of that, our children look to us to kind of see if the world is safe. And right now, a lot of parents are stressing out, and their stress is coming out with, again, understandably cleaning things more, but now you're seeing like we're wearing masks and people are wearing gloves, and they're like, no, you need to not touch that. And so there's this constant, I don't know what to do because I'm seeing the adults around me freaking out. And so I think those two things are different in this moment because it's not those random worries, but it's this constant instability and kids not knowing what safe looks like, and also their parents' level of stress. They're looking at us and they can feel it and they can see it, which makes their anxiety even higher.
So I guess my question, like with my kids, I kind of know what to look for
Hmm.
in them
Hmm.
because of this onslaught that you're describing. Would how it manifests look different, or is it more likely than not going to be the same, just more of it?
I think it's just going to be more of it, more heightened, but sometimes more focused. So you'll see the themes of them asking about, when do we get to not wear masks? They'll ask more questions and ask them over and over again about, the new cleaning practices we're doing, my school being open, why are we 6 feet away? So some of their questions may be focused more and their anxiety focused more on things that are related to what's happening in this pandemic. So that may be where you're noticing it. But it's likely heightened because they're doing it more. And the
Okay.
child who really didn't have a lot of anxiety might now start may throw you off because now they're asking you the same question 15 times. And you're
Okay.
like, this is not Michaela. Michaela doesn't ask questions over and over after they've been answered. You tell her and she's good. And now she's checking in because part of it is the answer going to change? And I'm still worried that this is not really how it's going to be. So you may notice in your kids who are not these kids with these level of anxiety, asking those questions for purposes of reassurance. The kids who already had some level of anxiety, they may focus in more on things that are related to COVID. And then you're also likely going to have some issues with your kids sleeping. Their eating habits may change, some things like that, specifically in kids who didn't really have examples of anxiety before.
Okay. I appreciate you because I know for me, because I have that big age gap with the big
Hmm.
one. With the big one, she is the COVID number keeper. Like, if you want to know what the positivity rates are,
Hmm.
talk to her because she's keeping up with that. Like, I'm
Hmm.
getting emails from her about that. And with the little one, it's anytime we drive somewhere, her first question is, "Are we going inside?"
Hmm.
I mean, you've heard her. Are we going inside or are they bringing it to us?
Hmm.
Because you're not going in there, are you? So, so those are the kind of things that I'm dealing with, and I think that what I'm trying to figure out is this just an extension? Is this new anxiety or just an extension of the neurotic children that they already were, or is there a difference?
And I think the thing is, it just depends because you may find your kids who never had any type of anxiety before are suddenly beginning to express it. And then it's likely that kids who already had issues with anxiety, it's going to be more extreme. They're going to be looking for things. So you have a kid who's anxious and they know the rules are you're supposed to be a certain distance from someone, you're supposed to sanitize things. And that's a child who's going to be watching and saying they're not sanitizing things the way they're supposed to. They're not keeping a distance. And their level of anxiety is going to be heightened. And it's going to be one where they're likely to want to decrease their interactions with others even
Hmm.
more because it's freaking them out. The kid who didn't have anxiety before may suddenly begin to be like, wait a second. And they may just be the kid who starts asking the questions versus saying, I can't go to school, mommy, because they're supposed to sanitize and they're not. Where before they had some anxiety, but now it's, I'm fearful, and it's
Hmm.
starting to impact their ability again to do day-to-day things. But I think all kids have some level of anxiety at this point because the world is unstable and they rely on that stability and know what's coming. The difference is your kid that kid who keeps functioning and saying, hey, I'm still going to go to the store with you, mom. I just need to know, are they bringing the groceries or are we going in? And then you have that other kid who may have already had some issues with anxiety who's saying, I don't even want to go to the store
Hmm.
because their fear of what's going to happen next. It's not a matter of if they're bringing it to you or if we're going in. It's, I can't go at all unless I know we're not getting out the car.
Right.
So you may end up having issues with that instead. So
Well, last question, because I know 5 minutes has come and gone, but um, when we're noticing these things, what should we as parents be doing? Should we be trying to lean in and reassure or dispel?
I think it's a combination. And I think the first thing as parents, you have to be patient because we're already stressing and it's irritating to answer the same question over and over again. But being able to answer that question and being honest in the developmental level that your child can take it. Because if you're dishonest, because I think sometimes when we're trying to dispel it, we're not honest. And the kids recognize that because you may say, oh, it's not that bad. And then they see you masking up and they see you as soon as you give your credit card to the woman, you're sanitizing. They're like, this doesn't match with what you're telling me. And so
Hmm.
then that one person that they look for to be honest, let them know what's going on and how they should react is now not doing the same thing they're telling them to do. So I think it's important to be honest. I think you say it in a no nonsense way to decrease the panic. So if a kid is like, Mommy, why do we have to keep 6 feet distance? And you say, well, because they say that that's helpful when in terms of spreading COVID. So that's why we keep 6 feet distance. But you don't tell your kid, oh no, that's not really a big deal. And then they see you doing the swirl around to make sure that no one's close to you. So I think it's being honest and just being matter of fact, but also knowing that your kid is likely going to ask you the same questions over and over again. And part of that is reassurance that the answer is not going to change. But I think, again, when we think of dispel, a lot of times parents are minimizing or lying,
Okay.
and their kids are watching your behavior in comparison to what you tell them.
That's fair. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
You are quite welcome.
I will talk to you soon.
Okay.